Hello, this is a reflection on my learning journey in implementing the second objective, which was to implement a module to a transition year class. For this, I'm going to try use Gibbs reflective cycle. In the top right corner, you'll see a feelings parameter. The purpose of this video is to give you an insight from a teacher's perspective of some of the emotions I felt at the beginning, the middle, and at the end of this module. So here you can see this is an Excel. I kept a detailed record of all the different events that occurred over the course of the last academic year. I also used these documents here over the last 3 years, which is my learning journey and a learning log. These were very handy in keeping notes. Also, you can see this pilot actually started in May 2019, where I got the opportunity to meet Alison Watson at a CETA transformation series. This was my first interaction with her, and this happened in second year of my course. So in its entirety, this is actually a 16 months piece of work. So moving on to August the 12th, this is when all the parties involved in the pilot got together at Ternier College. That was Alison and her colleague from DEC, TU Dublin, and TopCon. Here we sat around and we discussed how this implementation was going to occur. From my point of view, I thought I was adopting a syllabus, so there was no need for analyzing or designing. It was a case of implementing, testing, and then once the module was proven to work, maintaining it, and then going at it again. Having had skills from doing 2 years and now my final year of MSc in applied or building information modeling and management, I thought I had enough skills to fill this out successfully. At this meeting, we sat down and we came up with an 11-week schedule. From my perspective, all I thought I was needed was that DEC was to arrange industry support partners. And at this point, they asked me who would I like to involve in my program. Fast forwarding now to September, this is when things got a little heated. As you can see from my notes, I make comments there about the amount of time it's taken me to talk to DEC and industry partners, and basically not getting the sort of response I was hoping I would. The issue I was having here was that from our schedule we sat down and planned out initially, I wasn't certain when the various industry partners were coming. There was never a confirmation, and this created an awful lot of stress on me. And again, I thought the purpose of DEC, from my perspective, was just to arrange the partnership between schools and in the school and the industry. So before the end, we did have a successful outcome. We did have TopCon, TU Dublin, BDP, and the horticulturists we have at Ternier involved in this module. As a teacher, I had to put my head out on the limb to implement and go out and do something new. I had DEC to deal with, I had industry partners to deal with, I had a resistant school management who questioned the change I was proposing and who were very resistant at the start. I had all my students, and then I also had parents. The way I thought it was going to work was I was going to communicate with DEC, and DEC were going to organize the industry partners. But what really happened was I had to deal with all the individual parties on an individual basis. So, evaluating and analyzing the situation I found myself in, if I was to do it again, I think a clear responsibility matrix could resolve an issue like this. if it was set out at the very start that deck or how the communication was going to occur, then we would know where we stand. Also, the equivalent to a BEP could also work, organising out, trashing it all in advance, and then all the parties knowing where we stand. But we put it down to teething issues. I tried to put it behind me, I tried to get on with it, because from my point of view, I didn't have any difficulty with the delivery of the classes. It was just the arrangement of the industry professionals. Also, I think what really occurred in hindsight, I can reflect on this, is that there was actually a lack of transparency. In actual fact, they did have issues that they didn't inform me about earlier on, which, if they had done, would have changed things altogether. So, a bit better communications could have resolved things at that point. But putting that behind us, class got on with it. So here you can see as a schedule over the 12 or the 11 weeks of the module where various classes occurred and different industry practitioners came into class and helped the students work on their project. This was very easy for me because I had the skill sets and the know-how, and really I was in a comfortable place delivering the class. Now moving on to the highs. So as a result of this, there was quite some achievement. We made it into newspaper, the BIM magazine, the CIF magazine, actually the newspapers twice. And then not just that, there was a change in perception from the school, and then the school start advertising us as well. Later on in the process, even the CIF, representatives from the CIF started reaching out to me and asking me about my experience, how I was getting on, and showing a great interest in the work we were doing. So, also getting confirmation at the parent-teacher meeting. It was the first time I did a parent-teacher meeting where parents from transition year students actually came down and sat down beside me. And were telling me how great the work I was doing and how unusual and unique it is to anywhere. That some of the parents working in construction weren't even that familiar with BIM, but yet their students were talking about it. Even when it was just in a simplistic form, they were getting an insight into content that parents struggled with. Also, another thing was from peers that I work with, other teachers, I start getting an awful lot of positive feedback. Not just that, but in messages, comments, thumbs up, and as you can see, all around, an awful lot of change in attitudes. Finally, towards the end of the year, the big reward was to see how students' perception changed into students' choice. And this graph shows where half the students who did this transition year module decided to either do construction studies or DCG. That was a great result. So in conclusion, I hope this gives you an insight over the last 16 months of a small part of the challenges we experienced and how we could have prevented them in the future. So it was great that at the end of all this, that all the stakeholders were delighted, and it's really reassuring as a teacher that I was doing something right.